Stay tuned to hear about an incredible climate ally which has been largely ignored from climate policies and plans to date, what orcas, butterflies and so-called climate refugees all have in common, and you'll discover that while Greta might have become the familiar face for the fight for our planet, there are many amazing women out there leading the charge every single day. Welcome back. I'm Rebecca and this is Green Pages, episode 7, the book I've just finished reading, which is All We Can Save, Truth, Courage and Solutions for the Climate Crisis. This book is a beautiful collection of essays from women at the forefront of the climate movement. So the first key takeaway, water is a verb. Effectively, what Judith is talking to us about is she's saying to us it's time to bring water into our climate strategies because, as it turns out, water is a climate ally. Consider a tree, let's say a good-sized tree in full leaf, something that you would be happy to sit under on a sunny afternoon whilst reading your book. Now, that tree on a sunny day whilst basking in that light from the sun is going to transpire more than 26 gallons of water. The action of just one tree on a sunny day represents 3 times the cooling capacity of an air conditioning system in a 5-star hotel. I understood through the pages in this incredible essay, Water is a Verb by Judith, is that the vegetation, the trees on our planet, is one of the world's most perfect air conditioners. Around a quarter of the planet has now been stripped almost entirely of its vegetation. So in other words, what Judith has pointed out here, 1/4 of the planet has been stripped of its ability to moderate temperature. Judith actually talks about the deforestation in Brazil being extremely disturbing, particularly once you consider the role of the trees in that cycling of water and the moderating of the heat in the region. So the second key takeaway was from an incredible essay called Under the Weather by Ash Saunders. That's exactly how it sounds. Under the weather, you don't feel very well, you feel a bit sick, you need to take a day off work, off school. But under the weather, here we're talking, Ash is talking about the health of the land and the health of the people being completely interlinked. A numerous amount of examples that I'm going to share with you. So for example, Greta, when she learned about the climate change problem initially at school and the inaction by adults and politicians to actually do anything about it, she became depressed. She even stopped eating. There was a human rights lawyer called David who actually lit himself on fire in Brooklyn to call attention to the climate crisis. Tens of thousands of farmers in India have killed themselves, which has been very connected to the rising temperatures over there. There was a 17-year-old boy in Australia who stopped drinking water following a severe drought over there. What was particularly interesting to me is there had been an actual word applied to this called ecological, and some critics argue that it's a flabby discipline without clear boundaries or time-tested methods, as Ash says, but they seem to accept studies that show that exposure to nature can actually improve your health and feeling. As we all know, 20 minutes in nature can lower your blood pressure levels and make you feel good. So they accept the exposure to nature has positive effects, but if we flip that on its head and say the destruction of nature can actually cause people to be sick, generally it's not believed, and that was the key point to me. The third and final key takeaway I'm going to share with you was from a chapter dedicated to climate refugees, an essay written by Sarah Stillman. Did you know that wildfires, hurricanes, heat waves in 2016 pushed 3 times as many people from their homes as violence and conflict? Monarchs travel more than 2,000 miles annually from Mexico to Canada using the angle of the light as their guide. The butterflies are exquisitely good at climate adaptation on account of their large geographic range, but their sensitivity to temperature has also made their roots and their reproduction unstable. Whales also represent a different climate displacement story, whether it be animal or human. Migration's basic compass is survival. And the most gut-wrenching part of all of this is that the so-called climate refugees are often from countries that have contributed the least to the climate crisis compared to its wealthier counterparts. Favourite moment in this book was an essay from Christine, and it's called Community is Our Best Chance. And she's from Puerto Rico and she's a storm survivor, and you get to hear her first-hand account from surviving a storm and how she pulled together with her community. By day 10, Christine and her community were feeding over 300 people a day, Monday to Friday, fully self-organised, fully self-funded. I want to quote her here, and she says, "When everything collapses, no ATMs, no water, no food, no diesel, no communication, you have to tap into a pre-existing system of trust and dignity." Well, there is a chapter in this book by Emily called Solutions at Sea. It's all about regenerative ocean farming, and it really caught my attention, and I definitely want to read more about it. And I just want to quote something from this particular chapter and why it really excited me. Regenerative ocean farming could mean that we tackle three things. We could mitigate climate change, we could restore ocean ecosystems that are missing, and we could revive coastal economies through a simple but holistic partnership with the ocean. But I recommend this book absolutely hands down. It was just so refreshing to hear from all these women and their incredible stories and their voices coming through, and it certainly has left me with a feeling of hope, a feeling of excitement, and a feeling that yes, there are other women out there leading the charge every day. The only thing just to keep mindful of is it's all based in the US, which is still great to read, but I would love to read an equivalent of this from the UK. Cannot wait to do next screen pages with you, which may or may not be in Madeira, but thank you for joining me whilst I'm here, and I hope you've enjoyed the beautiful scenery behind me and the sound of the birds, surrounded by this incredible UNESCO World Heritage Site in Madeira. Thank you so much.